Few weeks ago, my property manager actually called me and told that one of my long-term tenants actually moved out of the house, abandoned the property. And it actually gave me a shock because for the last 3 years or so, the tenant, they were my best tenants and they have been staying in the property for the last 3 years. Suddenly they stopped paying rent for about 3-4 weeks, and without telling anything, they just moved out. The lease was in place until March next year. So in this video, I am going to talk about how I overcome this situation, and eventually I claimed the settlement process with insurance. So watch till the end. One of my tenant actually moved out, and as I said that till March the lease was there, but because they just actually moved out, so what we had to do is my property manager went to the property and checked everything, and they saw that the property was in a big mess. There are a lot of stuff inside there. It needs a full cleaning, and a lot of damages has been done. Apparently 3 or 4 months ago there was an inspection, like a periodic inspection, and nothing was visible. So everything happened for the last 3 to 4 months. So what should we do? One of the big challenge that you will face in your investment journey, that sometimes no matter how good tenant you get, it is impossible to avoid this kind of situation. And I was shocked because due to COVID, of course, I could not go to see the property for last about a year or so. Having said that, my regular inspection about 3 or 4 months ago, and the photos and all I saw, there was no visible kind of a damages. So all these damages happened for the last 3 or 4 months, and this gives me an important lesson of sometimes things will go wrong. Even though you expect some of your best tenant will have some hard time, what we got to know from our property manager that the tenant told them that they had some sort of a domestic violence issue, and she had to leave the property without telling anybody. And that was a big chaos, of course, and due to COVID situations, maybe it made even worse. So what did we do? The first thing that of course we did is that exit condition report, made sure that how the property looked, and we did a claim on insurance. Luckily I have an insurance with RSEQ where a certain portion of rent default and malicious damages and accidental damages are covered, and I took this insurance. Although I do have an excess amount that I have to pay, however having this insurance actually help because it actually will help. So I'm going to show you how I actually overcome this situation by claiming insurance. But before I go with this insurance claim, let me tell you one thing. If you are going to invest, one thing that you need to be very careful about, if this situation arises, what should you do? It will be very late when the situation happen and then you think about insurance. So you have to think before about what you want to cover, how much excess that you want to pay, so that you are covered in case something happens. So these are the 3 or 4 things that you must check whenever you take an insurance. And if you don't understand the insurance PDS, you can always ask the insurance company, like, what does it mean? For example, how much will they cover should anything happen like this? And this could be if the tenant has not paid for so many weeks or months or whatever, how much will they pay maximum? If there is a damage, how much damage cost they are going to pay? And everything is written in your PDS in the insurance document when you take that insurance. But having said that, it's good to verify with them. The other thing that you need to do is that excess amount. For example, if 5,000 is the insurance claim and you have 3,000 excess, that means the insurance company is going to give you only $2,000, and the 3,000 excess is from your pocket. Now during the lease of the property, you need to ensure that 4 or 5 things have been done properly, and one of them is that it needs to have a valid lease. Often when you have a new tenant, you have a 1 year or 6 month lease, and after that it falls to periodic lease. I do not like periodic lease. I would always ask my property manager to have further 6 months or 1 year lease, so that way I can bind them in an agreement. Having said that, it's not like periodic lease can be also a binding, but it is better to have a 6 months or 1 year lease rather than month to month basis lease. And the second point is that entry condition report. It means that when the tenant moved, how the property is, that with the photos and the detail inspection, each and every room, bedroom, linen, all sort of things. There's a huge 15 to 20 pages document that the real estate agent actually fill it in when somebody moved in. That's called entry condition report. And as a owner, you need to make sure that the agent, the property manager actually done this. If possible, you take a copy of that once the tenant has moved, just to ensure that they have done it, because if they have not done it, it is going to be a huge problem if that insurance comes into the picture. And the second point that I would like to make is the bond lodgement. Make sure that as per your state law, there has to be a bond lodgement, 4 weeks or 6 weeks or 2 weeks, whatever the requirement. You need to make sure the tenant paid the bond and it has been lodged to the appropriate bond lodgement authority. The rental ledger is something that every week that gets updated when the tenant pays. So you make sure that you have a rental ledger. So property manager, you can ask your property manager to give the rental ledger and they will be able to give you. You need to make sure that the ledger has been updated as per the tenant is paying. And the periodic inspection report, it is very important to have that periodic inspection every 6 months as per the law, whether it's a 6 months, 3 months or once a year. You need to make sure your property manager is doing the inspection of the property and have that inspection report, and you also have a copy of that, so you know that it has been happening, especially if you are not doing the inspection with the property manager. So these are the documents are very important, because when the insurance claims comes and if you don't have these documents, then the insurance company might think that it is your negligence, that's why it happened, and they might not give you the claim money that you are asking for. You need to make sure that you have all these documents before the insurance claim starts, if at all happens. I hope that you don't have to face into this kind of situations, but if you have been investing for longer enough, or you will be investing for long, then sooner or later, once in a while, you might face this situation, and it can be a nasty, because if the insurance is not going to cover, you have to pay like 10, 15, 20 or even $100,000 if the damages are significant. Whereas if the insurance covers all these damages, then your portion would be way less, in fact only the excess amount that you have to pay. So it is important to have a right insurance, right amount of cover, and it's also all the documents that is needed by the insurance company, as I mentioned, those needs to be there as well and prepared by your property manager. So I hope you got idea of it. This is the first part. In the second part, I am going to talk about or share in the next week video of how the insurance claim happens and how step by step it moves forward, so you are not oblivious, and how I actually overcome this situation by claiming the insurance, getting the money and fixing all this and putting that back into the market, and the property is tenanted. So I hope you are enjoying this video. If you are, please do like and subscribe this channel. It will help me a lot to reach out to more people, and there are people who might be in the same situation like me, or in future might be in a situation like that. They will get a lot of benefit. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you at the next.